Welcome to Data Fuel, the podcast where we unlock the power of data science for small and medium-sized businesses. From data-driven decision-making to practical tools and AI, we're here to help your SMB grow smarter and faster. Subscribe now and fuel your business with data. Now, onto the episode. All right, today on Data Fuel, we are diving into the topic of monetization of data. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you're capturing customer data and reselling it. You're not capturing user behavior data and reselling it. What monetization of data really means is that you're using it to create value, either by creating and optimizing revenue streams or by reducing operational costs. Both of those are quality outcomes of data monetization. So we're not necessarily looking at it through the lens of how do we take all of this secret data, customer data, in order to monetize it, package it, and resell it to advertisers. There are some businesses where that is the case, but today, for your SMB, we want to figure out how do we monetize data as best as we can to create value, to drive revenue, or to reduce your cost. There are studies that show that organizations that prioritize data monetization report a 20 to 30% boost in revenue and or cost reduction. So when you think about optimizing process, when you think about optimizing data and prioritizing how you manage that for decision-making, for targeting in marketing efforts, we're really trying to create a compelling reason why you should start caring about this at the onset. So why does it matter? Ultimately, every business is trying to grow. They're trying to achieve a goal. They're trying to meet an outcome. They're trying to drive towards something. And so more often than not, that is revenue and profitability, growth, and or cost reduction, streamlining processes, improving efficiency, reducing waste. So these two different elements of data monetization or outcomes of data monetization are really two reasons why you should care a lot about that. When you think about an example in the market, when you think about companies that have done this really, really well, I think about companies like Coca-Cola, their vending machines. They're using IoT, Internet of Things, and data from their vending machines to track sales trends and adjust inventory in real time, thus reducing the cost of taking the time to deliver to a vending machine to only realize that it doesn't actually need to be restocked. So when they've cut the waste of their delivery drivers, taking product and delivering to machines that can intelligently tell them when they need to be restocked, they immediately are driving cost savings and an increase in revenue to restock the machines that are producing the most effective outcome in real time. Something like that, when you think about data monetization, it's the information that's being gathered from the connected device that allows them to make better decision-making on both the revenue and cost reduction side. So how do we start developing a strategy for the revenue growth side of things? One, you could develop a data-driven product and or service. So when you think about how to develop a data-driven product and or service, we're not saying you're taking data, capturing it, and repackaging it in a product or service. What we're saying is something similar to how Netflix uses data. You, as a consumer of Netflix, you pop on, you scroll through all these shows, and all of that content is curated specifically to you. It's utilizing your data in order to recommend better content for you in order to drive subscription retention. So Netflix is taking this data-driven approach, building a data-driven product, even though their end product is the content that they're feeding you. The way in which the titles are displayed on Netflix, the way in which trailers are displayed to you, how they scroll through different pieces of content, is all curated to you in order to engage with the product more effectively. So how do you think about utilizing the data that you have based on your customer behavior in order to serve them better that ultimately for you drives that retention? Another strategy that you could use is selling anonymized data. Now, this becomes really challenging because if you're not in the business of aggregating and anonymizing your customer data, you probably shouldn't be in the business of selling it and trying to figure out how to anonymize it. Waze is in the business of selling anonymized data. So they share anonymized traffic data with cities for a fee. What that does is it helps urban planners reduce congestion for you as a driver. So for Waze's business model, it actually makes a whole lot of sense. That doesn't make sense for everybody considering there's a lot of nuance and challenges to getting to the place where you're ensuring you're protecting data in really smart ways, but it can be a use case of developing a strategy for revenue growth by intelligently monetizing data. The last thing you could do is partnering with larger companies. How do you partner with larger firms, larger companies to share insights and utilize data to create mutually beneficial services? Again, in your services descriptions, in your terms, in your conditions with anybody that you interact with in your company, you need to ensure that you have protection, you have security, you have the right methodology in capturing data. But then when you partner with larger companies, you can start to share information back and forth to ensure that you're serving your customers well. Ultimately, you want to create a mutually beneficial outcome for this. So if you are taking data from your customers, not necessarily taking data from your customers, but utilizing data of their behavior with your product or how they interface with your advertising and marketing services, you can create a much better path to reach them more effectively by sharing how that behavior operates with a firm that can help you understand it more intelligently. So if you bring in experts in data science, you bring in experts with understanding how to create connectivity between the data sets that you're experiencing, sharing those insights can help you create a little bit more activity on the revenue generation side based on the data that you're gathering. So how do we create strategy for cost reduction? One, we want to optimize our operations with data. A great example of this is UPS. They save millions, if not billions of dollars annually by using data to plan the most fuel-efficient delivery routes. They've created their own software and have acquired many companies to support their efforts in creating efficiency in delivery. I remember about 15 years ago, UPS came out with this novel concept of only making right turns. The UPS drivers weren't turning left. They already were starting to look at data to say, hey, if we create a route that only utilizes right-hand turns, we're not going to burn as much fuel sitting at stoplights waiting for the light to turn green. It's incredible to see how operational optimization through data analysis has served UPS. So if you think internally about how your business is operating, how can you utilize data in order to create a faster turn on your inventory, to create a more efficient utilization of your team members? Every system that you're utilizing is outputting information in order to create data for you to make better decisions based on. For UPS, that may be a millions or billions dollars of saving a year. For you, that might be 5 or 10% of your total revenue, but that can have a material impact on how you drive your business moving forward. Another way that you could think about cost reduction by utilizing data is just by automating repetitive tasks. When you think about tools like Zapier or Power Automate through Microsoft, you're trying to streamline a lot of these manual tasks, these redundant tasks, in order to save time and reduce manual errors. So to the extent that you're able to catch errors that historically have been done manually through automation in Zapier, Make, Power Automate, there's a lot of optimization that you can glean from these type of repetitive tasks. So one of those instances in the world of accounting could be the reconciliation and bank statement gathering process. Are there tools that you can utilize in order to capture the statement information, to utilize OCR and or Gen AI layered over top of a PDF in order to read a bank balance to then input that data into a system for reconciliation purposes? Again, you need to ensure that data security in these processes, client-specific data, is managed really intelligently, because at the end of the day, you do not want to be feeding in any sensitive client data to a model that may be utilizing that information to retrain the model. So ensure you're maintaining security on that. But by automating these repetitive tasks, you will set yourself up for certainly a higher degree of cost reduction in order to repurpose your team's time for higher value tasks. Another strategy for cost reduction could be in the world of predictive analytics. When you start to take historical information, make assumptions based on that information for predictive and prescriptive analytics, you start to understand and anticipate actions in your business before you know that they're going to happen. When you can intelligently layer on triggers for those prescriptive and predictive analytics, you start to be able to drive decision-making earlier on in the life cycle of your business ahead of what the analysis is telling you it's anticipating. So an example of this could be Zara. They're anticipating fashion trends. They're utilizing data from the biggest fashion data sets in the world to understand how to manage their inventory. Not only is this a seasonal exercise, but it's also as intentional as what colors are we predicting for next year in order to start planning our inventory over the next 6 to 12 months. What colors do we need to have in stock of purses, of dresses? What is going to be in season? There are a number of industry-specific data sets that you can utilize this data in order to feed publicly available data into a model based on your own sales trends to inform your inventory management for the next business cycle. So how do we start overcoming challenges that we may face in the realm of data monetization? The number one biggest thing here is simply data privacy. How are you complying with regulations like GDPR, CCPA, in order to ensure that you've maintained a trusting relationship with those that are trusting you to provide them with a product or service? Ensure that data privacy and data governance is on the absolute top of your list when it comes to managing data and starting to utilize it for monetization purposes. Work with a partner to understand how compliance with changing regulations need to continue to be maintained over time, because the last thing that you want is a breach or an issue with utilizing data improperly. You could also face a challenge of having limited resources. When you look at scalable tools, cloud-based platforms, other data aggregators and systems to feed onto your tech stack, you want to understand how to leverage technology and people and outside parties in the right ways to create a machine that is efficient for you. It is going to be a little bit different for everybody based on the resources that you have available to your business. However, there's a right blend for everybody. And by focusing on this early, maybe it's bringing a team in to help understand what the environment looks like, what the opportunity looks like for you to monetize data, could be helpful to start creating that strategy for you in 2025 to create a better outcome for your business. Lastly, just identifying monetizable data can be kind of challenging. You should be starting to create a data audit to find valuable, actionable insights that can actually yield outcomes, that can drive decision-making, that can drive a quality use case back to revenue generation or cost reduction. If you could tie your data findings in this data audit to understand what outcomes could be possible through the exercise, you now start to create some understanding of how you can utilize that data intelligently. So to recap, data monetization isn't just aggregating and anonymizing data to sell to other companies for advertising purposes. Data monetization is really the understanding of value capture through revenue growth or cost reduction. You need to understand how to drive a strategy to accomplish those things, what tools could be utilized in the process, and then what challenges you may face. Let's start with the exercise of what value are we looking to drive. That will help you to understand how to evaluate your current data practice, start exploring monetization opportunities. So I encourage you to go ahead and evaluate your current data strategy, your current data security practices, and how all that lends towards some degree of data monetization. Just start dabbling with it. Start doing some research. Start digging into this to make 2025 a year where you can utilize data effectively to help make your business more efficient and more profitable. Thanks for tuning into Data Fuel. We hope today's insights help fuel your SMB's growth. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review the podcast so we can keep bringing you more data-driven strategies. Till next time, keep fueling your business with data.